in this heading, renewing democracy at home, he also said he's going to revitalize pro-democracy efforts efforts worldwide. So how's the revitalizing coming along?
Yeah, he seems to be a little bit stuck here. There was this talk about holding a big summit for democracy to kind of rally the democracies of the world against authoritarianism and the far right. And I think in a number of cases, a number of world leaders said, why don't you fix your own house before you come and lecture us about ours? And, they've kind of got a point there. But the rhetoric in the foreign affairs piece, he wrote about he wanted the United States to once again stand for the values that unite the country and to truly lead the free world, is the way he put it. Which again, there's deeper issues that you can critique there. But if we stick to the framework of what is he doing, how is he doing compared to his own standards? I think the example in the piece that I use in the piece is Saudi Arabia. And it's clear that we've basically gone back to the days of talking about human rights and talking about democracy and kind of wielding those things as cudgels against countries with which we have problems, while kind of, giving our allies a free pass to behave as they want. Which is not the sense that you get from the foreign affairs piece. Biden, writes, Biden seems to be suggesting that, he's going to end kind of the Trump policy of not talking about these things. But he's also going to be different from pre-Trumpian U.S. policy in that he's going to apply these standards to everybody, kind of without favoritism. And yet, what we've seen in the case of Saudi Arabia, there's two fronts really on this. There's the war in Yemen, and there's the fallout, the kind of continued fallout from the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. And in neither case has he really followed through and kind of holding Saudi Arabia's feet to the fire. This was, he singled out Saudi Arabia in the campaign many times, at one point saying he was going to, treat them as a pariah state, very harsh language, especially for a U.S. presidential candidate to talk about Saudi Arabia of all places. What we've seen in terms of Yemen, very early on in his first big foreign policy speech as president, he went to the State Department. They made a big announcement that they were ending support for offensive Saudi military operations in Yemen. Now, that word offensive is doing a lot of work there, and it's a subjective standard that they've never really defined. And what we've seen since then is a shift very much in the direction of kind of obfuscating what it is that they actually changed. There's a progressive movement among progressives in Congress to kind of try to get the administration to specify exactly what has changed about the U.S. military role in Yemen, and they're getting stonewalled basically by the administration, getting no answer at all. And on the diplomatic side, he appointed a seasoned U.S. diplomat Timothy Lenderking, which seemed like a good sign as the U.S. envoy to Yemen to kind of try to organize peace talks. Lenderking, as far as I can tell, is back to just kind of parroting Saudi talking points about the war. I mean, he's denying in the face of evidence from all over the place, including CNN, which is not exactly a bastion of kind of restrained foreign policy thinking, denying that the Saudi blockade on northern Yemen is having an effect on food and medicine distribution, which it obviously is. He's kind of parroting the idea that the war is entirely on the Houthis to end, and that the Saudis are trying desperately to kind of negotiate an end to the war. And none of this, all of this is kind of taking a very strictly Saudi point of view, which is not promising.
Especially going from saying, like, making a big deal of saying we're going to end offensive military operations, to being really evasive about what, if any, aid has cut. I mean, that's pretty bad, right? I mean, that was something that at the time was something that even people with very harshly critical views about Biden often were like, expressing happy surprise about it.
Yeah, it was very exciting. That announcement was very exciting. It came early on, and it was, wow, he's really going to follow through on some of this stuff. And if they have, it seems like there's not that much evidence of it. So
yeah, and the Jamal Khashoggi thing is pretty significant too, because I mean, this is, if you're going to criticize, like criticizing Biden on foreign policy, it can be easy for it to sort of fall on, like jaded, at least, if not quite deaf ears. And people say, look, what are you comparing him to, right? Are you comparing him to like a hypothetical President Noam Chomsky, or like, what are we talking about here? Well, how about Donald Trump? Because when Donald Trump was president and he gave the Saudis a pass on the Khashoggi thing, it was throughout like blue America. I mean, this was seen as really bad. I mean, this was right. Like a widely reviled thing that Trump did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and in Biden's case, I mean, he allowed, or the administration allowed, the publication of a kind of redacted U.S. intelligence report that found that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was directly responsible for ordering the murder, or the operation, at least, that led to his murder. And they sanctioned a few Saudi officials, like blacklisted a few guys. They did nothing to Mohammed bin Salman himself or any kind of higher level. There was one, I think, sanction on a force of the rapid deployment force in the Saudi National Guard, which, okay, I mean, those are all fine, I guess. The defense that the administration has offered is Mohammed bin Salman is effectively the head of state for Saudi Arabia. He will at one day be the head of state. He's defense minister. It's hard to sanction people at that level and maintain a relationship, which is true. I mean, it's a legitimate thing to say. It is hard to do that. And yet, when you spent the campaign talking about how you were going to make this country a pariah, it doesn't seem like you were that worried about, right, maintaining the same kind of relationship. So again, going by the standard that Biden laid out for himself, this does not seem to be kind of consistent with that.
Yeah. Fair enough. I should also say, I mean, not only is a relevant comparison to Donald Trump, but another relevant comparison would be with Barack Obama, and there have been a couple of cases. I mean, that in which I think that comparison so far doesn't look good. Most obviously with the Iran deal, where which was like one of the very best things that the Obama administration did.
Right. Exactly.
And another one would be with Obama's opening to Cuba at the end of his time in office, which is not something that's mentioned in the article, but it seems worth taking a beat to mention, because the Biden administration has showed little to no interest. They've Psaki has been sort of poetic in her evasiveness, when asked about it, and in fact, the Biden administration hasn't even reversed the transparently absurd last-minute decision by the Trump administration to put Cuba on the list of state sponsors of terrorism, basically on the grounds that the U.S. and Cuba don't have an extradition treaty.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of parallels between Biden's handling of the nuclear deal and his handling of Cuba, although there's been some progress on the nuclear deal. There was already some progress happening when I wrote this, but there's been more since then. But I think the parallels are that the administration came into office, the Biden administration came into office not really sure how it wanted to deal with either of those issues, whether it wanted to just straight up kind of roll things back to the Obama years or try to hold on to some part of the Trump policies and, kind of hemming and hawing about what the political cost might be of rolling back to the Obama years. And as a result, it's been kind of on Cuba, they've done nothing but kind of tread water and hope people don't ask about it. On the nuclear deal, it seems like they've finally decided that they're willing to break with most, if not all, of Trump's Iran policy and get back to the conditions that were in place when the nuclear deal was negotiated in 2015. But it took them, 2 months to come to that place.
This has been a free public preview of a patron-exclusive episode of Give Them an Argument. To get the rest of this episode and every other patron-exclusive episode, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis.